The history of One Direction. Our story begins in 2008, where a 14-year-old turning 15-year-old Liam Payne auditions for the X Factor. His confidence is high and he immediately wows the judges with his cover of Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra. He is the apple of Cheryl's eye right from the very beginning, even giving Cheryl Cole a little wink. Yep. He makes it as far as judges' houses, where he is eventually kicked off. But Simon said it wasn't because he was bad in any way, it was just he needed to grow older a bit and perfect his craft a bit. Then, if he wanted to, choice was on the table, he could come back and try again. So Liam being Liam, that's exactly what he did. He spent a few more years performing in bars and clubs, later seeing in a 2020 interview that he was playing in pubs as age of 15, showing just how much he wanted this gig, and his chance for potential world stardom would come once again in 2010 when he took upon Simon's offer to reappear on the show. Now 16, way more manlier and a little less confident as opposed to the last time, he was back, and this time he covered Michael Bublé's Cry Me a River. And unlike the last time where only 4 judges were in his wake and they gave him claps and said a pat on the back and all that, no, there was an audience there. They cheered for the guy with the Justin Bieber haircut. There was a large roar just right then and there. The crowd digged it. They loved it. They thought it was the best performance ever seen to date. Okay, that might be a little tad too far. Despite wowing the judges again and getting a huge burst of applause from all of the crowd at the X Factor, well, that wasn't enough apparently, as he was that close to being booted off the show a second time. However, another pile of rejects that had also came on as solo artists, Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Lewis Tomlinson, or Louis for short, and Zayn Malik, had all been rejected too. However, they and Liam, well, to the judges, they were a meal ticket, a plan, an idea that Simon Cowell always says he concocted, but in reality it was actually Nicole Scherzinger of Pussycat Dolls fame. And lo and behold, they created the genius idea to stick these planned solo artists in a boy band. But what was this boy band going to be called, you may politely ask? One Direction! 1D for short. Now, like the Beatles, they were given their own monikers to adopt their personality. For Zayn Malik, it was the bad boy, the Mysterioso. Niall Horan was the babyface, despite being the 4th oldest in the band. Louis Tomlinson played the ringhouse star of One Direction, basically being the clown and the one that everyone would laugh at if they needed a bit of a cheer-up. Harry Styles played the womanizer, and basically the one who would get the girl in the end. Liam's role of the smart One Directioner actually made a lot of sense, as opposed to others that were given the role of the smart band member. It actually fit him really well, whereas the others were more larger than life. Liam was on hand to make sure that didn't get too out of hand. I mean, sure, if it was a party or anything, count him in, but if you went too far, Liam would be on hand to make sure that you needed to step it down a notch. He was given the role of the daddy in the group. Zayn Malik even said himself that despite being older than Liam, he never felt that he was older, more younger than Liam, because he was the Mysterioso after all. So Liam's role of the smart one made a lot of sense, at least back in the day. After One Direction was grouped up, consisting of Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Louis Tomlinson, Liam Payne, and Zayn Malik, they went back to judges' houses where this time round they were accepted, later making it to the live shows. They sang All You Need Is Love and Total Eclipse of the Heart one week, performing well in the public vote before eventually making it to the last episode, in which unfortunately they did not win. They came third. But this was something that Simon Cowell wasn't going to let off the hook so easily. He saw how girls screamed for them, and he also saw the potential lucky win he had in this boy band. So he signed them to the Psycho label almost immediately after the show ended. You see, what the X Factor don't tell you is that most of the losers that appear on the show aren't actually losers in the end and actually do eventually make a successful career. And One Direction, thankfully, was one of them, as you will soon see. Before they knew it, they were making a book based on their experience on the X Factor, and then right after the book was released, the single That's What Makes You Beautiful dropped in the United Kingdom. And there was no question or doubt about it. It went straight to number one. So too did the album when it was released alongside the single a few days later. To be fair, there were some filler tracks, but That's What Makes You Beautiful, you can't deny, it is pretty good. America pushed it back to 2012, but when it was eventually released in America, it peaked at number 4, both the album and the single, I believe. But boy, did that album do a lot for them. Up All Night spanned way more success. Within a few months, they were headlining their own tour, appearing on US TV programs, including iCarly. They spanned a new form of Beatlemania across the globe, with comparisons to the Beatles, and they were also up against another boy band, The Wanted. So, you'd think after a mega album, Take Me Home, an iCarly appearance, a Wanted battle, and a comparison to the Beatles, they'd be allowed to rest for at least a bit. Now, this is Simon Cowell we're talking about here. Simon Cowell will do anything if the price is right. So, within a year, Take Me Home was released. Their second album. It was a smash, obviously. Direction Mania staying strong, guys. It's staying strong. And the iconic track from that album was One Thing. One Direction pretty much brought back the trend of boy bands, the kind of trend that we'd not seen since Boyzone and Take That in the 90s, so that just goes to show how much boy bands needed a bit of an uplift. And considering we now have BTS, it just goes to show it did work. As well as One Thing, the other iconic track from Take Me Home was Live While We're Young. Liam Payne then caused a bit of an uproar when he shaved off his hair, going buzzcut, which didn't go down well with some of the fans of Liam Payne, or One Direction in general. They were like, why? Why has he done that to himself? I don't know, maybe because he just wanted no hair? In the latter years of One Direction, he would adopt Zayn's kind of haircut, the quiffy, wavy hair sort of look. They also took part in Red Nose Day, making a cover song of One Way or Another. They then took a bit of a break before coming back with Midnight Memories, their 2013 release and their third album. And no surprises, it was a smash with 2 iconic tracks for this one. I know, just like Take Me Home. Not just one, eh? Hey! So the first one is Midnight Memories, and then of course, probably their most popular of this album, Story of My Life. Going into 2014, their popularity only grew. Well, it was already pretty much there as far back as 2012, to be fair, but it just proved that One Direction at this point in time was unstoppable. They were in high demand. And when they were in high demand, that meant Simon Cowell, well, he couldn't just let them rest. No, we got to get back on another album, guys. Their fourth album, aptly titled 4, was released in 2014. Memorable hit on there is Night Changes. By this time, Zayn Malik had become frustrated. I mean, One Direction was the key to success, but he felt like the time for the band was up. He felt like they'd released enough material that he could go solo as soon as possible. People had started to notice Zayn Malik acting shifty when the topic of would One Direction be breaking up, or would Zayn be leaving the band started to surface, and he would politely decline the question. However, as time went on, people started to see through their obvious lies, and the band tried to cover up on many occasions that Zayn was leaving by saying the reason he wasn't at a show was because he was sick. And then in 2015, before production on the band's final album Made in the AM, Zayn Malik announced he was done, saying the years in the band were very stressful. Zayn also liked R&B and Simon Cowell liked pop, as, you know, it's the money-making music. So that wasn't up Zayn's alley and he dipped. Now, a quartet, the band made their 5th and final album in 2015, Made in the AM. The popular track on that album was History. They tried to pretend that Zayn Malik leaving didn't affect the band, and they were on good terms with him. However, that was false. Liam Payne and Louis Tomlinson regularly argued with Zayn on Twitter, now X. They made a few appearances on American TV, one of which with James Gordon, and then they said in 2016 they would be taking a hiatus, but people weren't buying the idea of it being a hiatus. They all said that they knew that that meant that One Direction was going to disband, and by 2017 the band was done. In the post-1D years, Zayn Malik, Harry Styles and Niall Horan all went on to have very successful solo careers in the music biz. Louis Tomlinson returned to the show that pretty much made him a household name, The X Factor, but not a contestant this time obviously, a judge. Niall, Liam and Louis took part in Soccer Aid. Louis and Niall took part in the 2016 Soccer Aid, and Liam Payne did the 2023 Soccer Aid, and Louis Tomlinson's due to take part in the 2025 Soccer Aid. Zayn, Liam and Louis all became fathers, and there was even talks in 2024 that they might get back together this year. But as we all know, it would not happen the way we wanted.
That former One Direction star Liam Payne has been found dead at a hotel in Buenos Aires in Argentina.
On the 16th of October 2024, the news came through that Liam Payne had died in Argentina after falling off a balcony, aged 31. No age to go at all. It shocked his bandmates, his fans, his friends in the music business like Ed Sheeran and Ollie Murs. It shocked pretty much everybody who knew and loved him. His funeral took place a month later in November, with all the surviving One Direction members attending to pay their respects. The reunion we never asked for, but sadly, we got.